Hello and welcome to Speak, Feed, Lead with Jackie Bailey. This is a podcast where you will learn to speak with power, feed others in word and deed, and lead with a positive influence. I have a book titled Self-Centered Leadership, Becoming Influential, Intentional, and Exceptional. And today on my podcast, I am going to allow you to hear the first part of my book. It will include the acknowledgements section, introduction, and chapter 1. I hope you enjoy listening today. Self-centered leadership, becoming influential, intentional, and exceptional. Jackie Bailey, the author of Navigating Your Fishbowl blog. Acknowledgements. It takes a fishbowl to write a book, and I'm thankful for the many fishes that helped my vision and mission stay afloat. Special thanks to my daughter, Holly Apprecio, for designing the lovely cover of Self-Centered Leadership. I am thankful to my son, Corey Bailey, for allowing me to write about his experiences. I'm glad he's still here to read it. Thanks to Patricia Klingler for helping my message to be more eloquently written and grammatically correcter. Hee hee. It is because of the inspiration and support of many bowl-mates that I decided to write. Thanks so much to all of you. Introduction. Life is a fishbowl. 3 goldfish. That was the prize my 7-year-old and 5-year-old children had won in a carnival game. Thanks a lot, Carney Man. What am I going to do with goldfish? I was not prepared for the endless amount of supplies I had to purchase for these free fish. I needed to provide the proper filtration, environment, and food. I couldn't just flush them down the toilet, although I'd thought about it. Now they were pets, my children's pets. I was sure there would be a teaching opportunity in this circumstance somehow. In the 2 years of fish ownership that followed, my children did learn something. They learned that Mom had to change the water in the fishbowl every few days. They learned that Mom would remind them when the fish needed to be fed. They learned that Mom would ensure the safety of their 3 pets. Okay, I admit that I might not have taught my kids how to be responsible pet owners, but I learned a lot from those 3 little fish. In fact, many hours of my life have been spent writing about the lessons I learned from them. Life, I discovered, is very much like a fishbowl, an endless search for the proper filtration, environment, and food for yourself, family, employers, and friends. You get the picture. Since November 2011, I've been writing a blog called Navigating Your Fishbowl about leadership, communication, and the relationships we have with other fish who live or work in our bowl, the environment wherein we find ourselves. I began my career as a dental assistant. A dental office is very much like a fishbowl. You're stuck in an artificially lit environment and occasionally glance out the side of your bowl, a window. You're typically with people not of your choosing. You constantly try to stay afloat in a quick-paced, often stressful atmosphere. Over the years, as I've served in business and civic organizations and attended schools and churches, I've noticed that these places can often feel like a fishbowl too. Heck, my own home has felt like a fishbowl from time to time. The best way to survive the challenges of whatever fishbowl you feel stuck in is echoed in the wise words of Dory, a regal blue tang fish in the Disney movie Finding Nemo. Dory said, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming." Very good advice indeed. In 2009, I started writing a book called Navigating Your Fishbowl Without Becoming Catbait. The intended topic was teamwork and the dynamics of leading teams in a fishbowl environment. I thought I knew about leading teams when I started writing my book. However, at the same time, I took on a leadership position in the nonprofit organization Toastmasters International. In that 5-year commitment, I led and served 3,500 members in a geographical district. Over those 5 years, I led teams of various sizes. Some teams had as few as 7 people, while other teams were as large as 100. It was a fabulous opportunity, and I gained exceptional personal growth. However, I found little time to write much of my book. The very aspect of leadership I wanted to write about was keeping me from having the time to write. Because of the vast amount of knowledge I gained in finance, budgeting, conference planning, marketing, creating organizations from the ground up, training and coaching, I found that the book I started to write 5 years earlier was no longer the book I wanted to write when I completed my leadership term. I had a different message to share, and that would require writing a book on a different subject. You're about to read that book, Self-Centered Leadership, Becoming Influential, Intentional, and Exceptional, is about what I discovered while leading, that before you can navigate the waters of team leadership, you must first learn to lead yourself. No one sets sail on an ocean voyage without first understanding how the sails and the rudder on the boat work. Anyone who sets out to lead a team without first having the traits the team is expected to have is in for a rough journey. It would be like a parent lying in bed yelling at their children to get up and get ready for school. A leader who isn't willing to do what he or she asks of the team will likely not inspire the desired action. SELF is an acronym for the traits of an exceptional leader. The sails on your boat are sacrifice, empowerment, love, friendship. Get used to these words. They will be used frequently in this book. I invite you to read this book with self-introspection, self-awareness, and self-centeredness. I may have neglected to properly teach my children to care for their goldfish all those years ago, but I'm about to correct a mistake that most mothers make. I'm going to teach you the exact opposite of a principle that mothers have taught through the ages. It's okay to be selfish. This book is going to teach you how. Chapter 1. What is leadership? Let's start by defining leadership. The word leadership is ambiguous without the proper context. Leadership can mean different things at different times and under different circumstances. The word doesn't even distinguish between good or bad leaders. Leadership means something different to each individual. I discovered this to be the case when I used social media to ask a simple question. Quote, define leadership in one word. End quote. Answers to my question came from all over the world and were different in many ways. Leadership meant something different to everyone. Here is a partial list of the answers: guide, trailblazing, service, sovereignty, integrity, ability, motivational, visionary, confidence, transformational, management, engagement, responsibility, synergy, direction, adventure, caring. Though different, all of the one-word definitions of leadership are correct. Each individual would likely change their definition of leadership based on their current experience and/or perspective. I rest my case. The concept of leadership is ambiguous. Leadership is a combination of personal traits needed at specific times to motivate specific people to accomplish specific tasks. Is that ambiguously specific enough? It's tough to truly define leadership. It makes sense, then, to turn to a few well-known leaders to learn their definition of leadership. Following are some of my favorite quotes about leadership. I challenge you to discover in them one word that clearly defines leadership. Here's a clue. You won't actually find the word in the quotes. As you read the following quotes, consider what one word defines leadership. Quote, "A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus." Unquote. Martin Luther King, Jr. Quote, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." End quote. John Quincy Adams. Quote, "A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." End quote. John C. Maxwell. Quote, "Leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he wants to do it." End quote. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Quote, "Good leadership consists of showing average people how to do the work of superior people." End quote. John D. Rockefeller. Quote, "Leadership is diving for a loose ball, getting the crowd involved, getting other players involved. It's being able to take it as well as dish it out. That's the only way you're going to get respect from the players." End quote. Larry Bird. Quote, "Leadership is a potent combination of strategy and character. But if you must be without one, be without the strategy." End quote. Norman Schwarzkopf. Quote, "The secret to success is good leadership, and good leadership is all about making the lives of your team members or workers better." End quote. Tony Dungy. Quote, "Leadership is about being a servant first." End quote. Alan West. These quotes are powerful and true. Did you pass the test? Did you find a word that is not used in the quotes but that clearly defines leadership? I did. I found one word that can be extracted from all the opinions of others and be refined into a one-word definition. I found one word that encompasses leadership as a principle. One word that is unspoken but clearly felt in each of the quotes and in every experience of leadership. The one word is influence. Influence is the power to affect change in the actions and behavior of others. Do you know any leader, good or bad, that didn't influence his or her followers? Leadership happens when we are placed in a position of leading. However, that is not the only time we lead. We lead by influence every day, in every way. I recall a television commercial for an auto insurance company. The advertisement consisted of vignettes of average people witnessing others doing a good deed. The influence of seeing others perform a good deed encouraged the witnesses to perform their own acts of service. I don't know how well this concept sold auto insurance, but it sold me on a true principle of leadership. Influence. Our influence affects others constantly, for good or bad. We often have no idea when our example is influencing others. The 10 most likely times you influence someone else. 1. When you are awake. 2. When you are asleep. 3. When you are alone. 4. When you are with others. 5. When you are talking. 6. When you are listening. 7. When you are showing love. 8. When you are exhibiting hate. 9. When you are living